My name is Brian Briggs, and you can catch me on Twitter at @BryBriggs.com. Oh, not .com, just at @BryBriggs.
And this is me. So, and I'm Ryan. I'm at Creative Ed Tech, and we do a podcast.
We do a little one. We
do
have
a
like
little podcast.
about. I heard we're up to 5.
We get
listeners.
5 listeners,
And
I think.
That's
why we're buying listeners.
That's right.
So, like we said, this is today's presentation that you can feel free to, copy, steal, do all that kind of stuff. This is the website for our podcast that we do. That's my own personal website down there for all other things, EdTech and PD. Brian, what's your real job?
I am the Director of Innovation and Instructional Technology for a small school district up in the Sacramento area.
Will Kimbley. Check
There's
that
Will.
out.
Before I started as an IT director, my passion, I taught kindergarten for 8 years. So I think that's where my passion is, and that's why I'm a little out of left field, because I am that stereotypical kindergarten teacher. Yeah. The person who likes to touch buttons is now in charge of the buttons on the IT network. So
that's your best line. I like that. You got the mic down here. I'm like, we're right here.
I'm loud, and it's very loud.
But I just want to be like extra loud. Hey, and I am a technology TOSA in Rockland, California, suburb of Sacramento. Formerly social studies history teacher, and now I'm up at the district office. We are a K-12 district, and I'm navigating the world of professional development and district office stuff, and not being around kids. And yay, good career choice. Anyway, and so Brian and I last year, our quick story real fast is that we connected like much of you guys. How many people have made connections out here with people on Twitter, and then all of a sudden you met them in real life? And that's sort of a kind of a story about Brian and I. And then I've been a big podcast fan for gosh knows how long. I mean, way back 2000, like when iTunes was invented. Like I've been listening to stuff on my own, and I've been talking to Brian. I'm like, we should really do a podcast thing. And then Q
for the longest time we're all yeah, sure, and things happen. You start thinking, and then finally you just said, just like Nike.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And we decided, let's just get on something and hit record, and this is just going to be a pilot. And the funny story is, we got on Google Hangout, and we're like, okay, we don't know what we're doing. Just hit a button, right? And we're just talking, and we're not even like thinking we're recording. And John Carippo was our first technical listener, and he's chiming in the middle of it because we didn't realize that it was live.
We were on. And we're like, wait, what's he doing? Who's he doing? What's he doing?
He's like, how does Carippo know that we're talking?
Oh my goodness, what's going on? So like on Google Hangout, it automatically blasts out to your Google community. Yeah. So he was already razzing us before we even went on.
So yeah, we need to talk about that. He's our
first guest, right?
First listener ever.
That's right.
Anyway,
he should be on our year anniversary.
Yeah, and our year anniversary is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So we have been doing this for 364 days, but we only have 31 episodes. But Q kind of was for us the shot of the steroid shot, the adrenaline, what was the Pulp Fiction in the chest? Remember that part?
Yeah.
Pop that said, hey, let's get us fired up and kind of doing these things. And so the podcast that we do is kind of it's mostly sort of a tech idea, and basically the idea about being able to have us and some other people come on the show to be able to share out cool things that are happening in the world of technology and innovation. And so for today's presentation, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the process about if you're interested in terms of doing a podcast, you could do it. What we're doing here is we're doing a podcast for professional development. We're doing it for teachers to as educators to other educators. But we want to be able to show that there's other ways.
That's right. Should we go next?
Like
what? Let's do it.
Oh. I didn't know that. There's the agenda. Exciting. What we hope to do is we're going to talk about generally, we just did kind of introductions. We're going to talk about podcasting, what it is, how to be able to get it set up. And then in the end, with the time that we have left, we really kind of would like to be able to turn this in kind of a roundtable discussion, although the room doesn't really facilitate that. But we want to be able to hear from you guys, because for those of you who are like coming in here, and a couple of us came up and talked to us and said, hey, I'm kind of new to the thing. We have there's a fair amount of people who do podcasting already here. So we want to be able to hear from all of us. And so we'll get to that roundtable discussion. But let's first off, we want to find out the room. So we're going to break you up into 2 different people by a show of hands. Are you somebody who I'm just coming here because I'm learning about, I'm interested, I don't really know a whole lot?
Perfect.
Okay, hands down. Who says, yeah, I podcast, I already do it. Yeah, I'm doing it, and I'm just here for the community. Check that out.
And as the third type person, you just wanted to sit down and get air conditioning. You're by the water. That's perfectly fine. I understand. So
nice, awesome. So there's our 2. And by the way, and so we saw those hands, but show of hands one more time. Who has created their own podcast? Nice job. And they're sitting in the front. So, yeah, hey, people, move to the front. Let's get this more thing. Get this going here. All right, Briggs, what is a podcast real fast? Because the term is confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of confusing. Basically, like it says, it's a digital media format that files. So it can be video, it can be audio. And then again, it's posted online. And sometimes it could be in a series. Sometimes it can be one at a time. I know in my school district, I have students and teachers that are doing it. I set one up. I just gave them all the username and password. So whenever they're trying something new, they can just record on there. So just a little quick shot. So it's a way to publish to our community that our schools are in, because I rather have them hear firsthand from my students, teachers, and faculty what's happening new in our district versus going to the Facebook site and based on rumors. So that's one reason why I was doing that. So it's kind of not necessarily a series, it can be, but it's just a way to publish some announcements. So it's just a digital media file. Like I said, it could be video. There are some video.
For the most part, though, podcasting is still primarily seen by most of the people in the community as an audio format, but you can do video as well.
That's right, and I know the fellow podcasters, the video also takes up a lot of space and a lot of time. So if you have a place housing it or hosting it, you run out of space quickly with video, where audio, you can hold a little bit more.
So we're going to show quite a few different tools and ideas how to do that, and you think that, you know what, I can do, if podcasting is just talking and doing audio, can't I do that into my phone? Yeah, and then record it, and then you need to be able to get it out. So, hi, Carrie. And then, but besides necessarily just the sharing, what's special about podcasts, it's the subscription piece. It's the idea that, and I'm getting ahead of myself because I think this is a slide. Gosh, that's why I hate these things. But anyway, the idea that you subscribe means that much like the newspaper that you get to your house back in the day, remember? You want that newspaper to just come and you don't do anything about it. That's what podcasting does. Somebody puts out a show and you just want to be able to, whenever you're ready, click, and then there's the show. Because you could take an audio file and put it anywhere you want, and then great, hey, listen to it. But that means I got to push. I'm sorry, no, I have to go get it if I want to listen to it. I need to go out and go find that. Go to the website. Go to that Google Drive. Go to the Dropbox. Go to whatever you want. But what happens with the podcast is the idea is that you just receive it every time a new one comes out. And so that's the subscription piece, which you'll see that slide later. But Briggs, why should we podcast? What's going on with podcasting?
Like this one here, you can read this, the headline here. Again, podcasting is beginning to be like, remember the blogging in the early 2004? How it just started getting boom where everyone was blogging. Right now we're at a place with podcasting now. If you look at this here, that's what the podcast this guy is, refresh my memory.
Mark Maron.
Who?
Mark Maron?
Mark Maron, no, the guy on the right.
Oh, I don't know.
I forget.
Yes, look at this. The President of the United States is now being interviewed on the podcast.
So this is just some guy. I mean, he's not going to CNN. He's not going to ABC. So now we're having this kind of movement going on of just these podcasts. It's kind of like that grassroots feel of for the people, by the people. So that's kind of what podcasting. So you can set up a studio, like pretty much ours is pretty much like you'd see on Wayne's World, sitting on the couch, just not even that high tech with cameras. It's not like the Bassett Boys, where they have a high-tech thing, and Brent, yours is pretty good too. But pretty much our studio is something that we can throw together. It's not even quite like this, so anyone can do it on their own. So all of you can do it with the computer in your pocket.
And we're excited to be part of this thing that's happening because it has changed. Like I said, I have probably been listening to podcasts since 2005, but they're calling it like a renaissance or a podaissance, but I don't like that term.
That would be pretty cool. Hashtag Ponassauce?
No. Oh, we forgot to mention the hashtag. That's right. So as you guys want to be able to share out, everything having to do with education, hashtag podcast.edu is how to be able to share out. There's also another hashtag podcast PD, the idea about focusing podcasts specifically kind of on professional development. But share out, please, using the hashtag podcast.
We tried to do the podcast
edu. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say we tried the hashtag CTO moment for check this out moment. But I think a lot of chief technology officers thought we were talking about them. So that one didn't fly very well. Yeah. So, and it would just probably be me saying random stuff anyways.
Awesome. So yes, start thinking podcasting. There you go. It's a great way to be able to push things out. The superpower of podcasts, I stole this from somebody, I don't know who. They can educate, entertain, inform, inspire, garner laughs, gather tears, and give everybody a voice. You've been hearing all the time people like, hey, everybody's got a voice. Everybody has a story. You got to tell your story. Podcasting is a great way to be able to tell that story, particularly with the idea, like I said, and not just the here's my one-time story. If I got something going on and on and on. And of all the podcasts that have really helped with this podcast renaissance, I think the two things that have really made this renaissance happen is the tools have finally gotten easier. And then the second thing was a little show called Serial. How many people have heard the podcast Serial? Yay, wasn't that a great first season? What about that second season? Anybody loving that one? Me, not so much. You liking it?
It's not as riveting.
Yeah.
I can tell you their season 3 is gonna be awesome. I recently saw them at they gave a speech up in UC Davis. They came out and talked, and they said they had some ideas for their season 3, and they gave us a little teaser, and they said it could be a good one. So
if you haven't heard about the phenomenon that is Serial. Serial was sort of a byproduct of off of NPR from This American Life, was it? And so really sort of brought the idea that, hey, anybody, like, you should listen to this. In case in point, I use the example of my wife. Even though I podcast and I do all these things, my wife doesn't do or listen to all this. And then all of a sudden, I recommend, like, dude, Andrew, you should listen to this thing. And she's like, whatever. And then her friends said they should listen to it, and that just gets huge credibility. Like, she listens to her friends, loves and adores me, but, like, my advice, nothing. So, but her friends say listen to Serial, and now we had this really neat experience going back and forth. Did you hear this week? Oh, my God, what happened to the phone? And
yeah, it was interesting. Like, we were talking about that Renaissance. When they were talking on their interview, they said when they first started the podcast, they were shooting for 300,000 listeners after 5 months. They went on after the first month, and they were at 5 million listeners, and it took off. So now they went back and showed that they were up to 378 million listeners for the Serial Showcase. So I don't know if that's season 1 or Bo Birdog. But
by the way, let's make it very clear expectations. You will not get those numbers. Okay, we joke about our 5 listeners. Okay, and in all seriousness, it's probably not. It's somewhat higher than 5, but I know it's.
And our 2 main listeners aren't in here.
Yes,
Roland
and Corey.
But
yeah, so the process, it's kind of like we're doing this for the sake of, much like what blogging does. I'm trying to become blogging. I've been doing that for about a year, and everyone says, you got to write, because even though not very many people are going to read that blog of yours, it's something about what you're getting in return. And I
would say, how many bloggers are in here? How many people blog on a regular basis?
Do you guys have huge followings? Yes.
For me, I'm not good at writing. I'm going to be right off side. For me, podcasting was easier. So I viewed, like I said, this whole renaissance is becoming the next blog. It's easier for me to do this recording with Ryan than I am to sit down to do a blog. And we probably podcast as much as like someone would blog weekly. So for me, it's just a personal preference that I prefer doing the podcast over blogging. I don't think I'm very good at it. So I don't think people are interested in what I have to say. But when we're together, it's like fireworks.
It is like peanut butter and
so again,
jelly.
for me, podcasting is easier for me to do that instead. So
moving on. Why should we do this stuff? I just got this. This is here's one of my key takeaways. I was in a session earlier today, and I'm in that session, and Brent was there with me as well. I'm like, and this was about how to do better PD. And they brought up this graphic about don't go from the outside in. And it was Gerardo and JR here. Don't go from outside in. We're not doing a Google Docs thing, everybody. That's the what. He says start with the why. And I really like that. And so when you're thinking about podcasts, I thought the same idea too. If I want to jump in to do podcasts, if I want my students to start doing podcasts, you should not be going up to your principal, administrator, superintendent and go, we need to do a podcast. No. That podcast is just the vehicle, right? So I really want to. This is the only podcast that I'm doing. I really want to get a district podcast going, and Brian's going to tell you he's got one for his in a second. But I need to be able to go to my superintendent, and I need to be able to tell our story. And I got some tools that can help us tell that story. You want to talk about yours real fast?
And mine was the original thing, like I mentioned before, but my original idea, the why I wanted to start a podcast, is I wanted to give my students a voice. I wanted them to reach out. My kindergartners may not be able to type up a blog or something, but I can hand them a microphone, and they're going to tell us what they did that day, or even tell us, give us our daily weather report. So again, that's how I started mine, and I thought, wait a minute, why not just students? Let's give teachers a voice. Let's give our administration a voice. So mine, again, was starting why, give people a voice.
Gotcha. And so, but now we're going to get into a little bit of the details. So from why to how. All right, so if you want to be able to listen, because that is the first thing. A lot of us, I know you're not going to be walking out that door and you're going to be starting a podcast right away. So the first thing you should do is what? Let's find some podcasts. Let's listen to some podcasts. Now, how do you do that? That's great. You keep talking about this. This seems like a giant presentation just to get listeners for our show. Yes, it is. No, but the idea you need to be able to have something to be able to get those. So that is called like a podcast catcher. And so what we're going to talk about is some of the ones, the more popular ones. Briggs?
The more popular ones?
Yeah, tell them about them.
On the iOS is just, if you updated on your iOS or phones, iPads or anything, there is an app called Podcast, and I don't think you can even delete it. It's part of the Apple Store. Yeah, so it's basically looks like iTunes solely for podcasts. So you can get on there and find some good ones.
And that's one of the reasons, too, I think that's helped with this renaissance, is that Apple finally decided to split up and take podcasts out of the iTunes, which is, I say it every time I talk about it, the worst piece of software ever invented, iTunes. Why do I have to manage my contacts, my photos through a music player?
Asterisks.
I can't stand iTunes.
Asterisks. Just
Asterisks. Anyway, so they split up with it. So now you have a separate podcast app, and if you have the new one of the newer versions of iOS, it's automatically on there. There's another one called Overcast as well, which a lot of people really enjoy.
Yeah, like I said, like you're saying, the popularity, because the podcast app, you can't even, the only way you can hide it in a folder if you don't want to see it on your iPad or iPhone.
It's like all those other Apple apps
just
that people do, right?
That you can't get them.
Right, you guys all Apple people, you all make that one folder and you throw all that crap in there that you never look at, right? Hey, can you tell I'm an Android guy? Here we go.
All right.
Android. On the Android side,
yes.
Not free, and I'm a big proponent of spending money on stuff. I know a lot of teachers love free. I love rewarding good developers and good programmers who are making good stuff. And so Pocket Cast is a great example. Is anybody in the house? I think it's $3, $4, something like that. Couldn't we? And another was Stitcher. Dog Catcher's another one.
And I think Pocket Cast is now on iOS also. Yes.
Not necessarily. The reason being is because I guess we didn't hit this earlier. What podcasts are designed to be portable. They're designed. You can listen to them on the computer for sure. You can go to the website and listen to them. Sit on the computer and hit play. But the idea of the podcast is to be you're portable. You're out. Yes.
No, you can't on. So some of the websites that you house your podcast on, you can play from there also. So you got SoundCloud. SoundCloud, you can upload your files there and listen from the computer also. And the one I really like is AudioBoom. AudioBoom you can do on a Chromebook, you can do on a laptop, a desktop, anything. It's an app.
And we're going to show those too. And
we're going to get those too.
Okay, and there was the what. Like, what is this all about is different subjects, and we'll talk about the different subjects in a second. So this is what a podcatcher would look like. This is some screenshots of ours, and you can see this is the Pocket Cast from one that I screenshotted a little while ago. And you have different, like, their little shows. It looks like on your DVR, like, hey, I want to listen to the Check This Out, or the Star Wars Minute, or the Google Educast. And I had a celebrity moment. I have to tell you about it.
You had it quite too, didn't you?
I have. And so the EdSearch podcast, I'm a big fan of that particular one. What an educational organization, not like us, two dudes in their mom's basement who talk. Like, that's a real organization, right? And so I heard that she was there. Coach Ben up here, the dude with the beard, was hanging out with Mary Jo, the host. And then he left me some emails, or some Voxes, like, you need to come out and hang out with Mary Jo and I was stuck back at the house. But then Mary Jo, and courtesy of Ben, thank you very much, I got to have she came back and we got a photo and all that kind of stuff. So I had my little, like, fawning over an edu celebrity kind of a thing with Mary Jo Matta on the EdSearch podcast.
So also, these podcasts, again, how much do podcasts cost? They're free.
$0.
Free. My favorite four-letter F word, free. My second one is food. Put free food together. Oh, Lord. No, but these here, you can just download a whole bunch. So these screenshot, again, we did this a while ago because you guys aren't on. So we got to put them on.
Pages of them, too. I listen to too much.
You can add on them. For me, I'll listen to one. If it doesn't click with me right away, if I don't connect with it, like within 10 minutes, I just toss it and just do another one.
These are old screenshots.
These are old screenshots, yeah.
I've moved phone.
But can you notice, look at, I have Brent Warner higher than yours.
Nice. So we're going to get into this and do this. So what we're going to do is make some work time right now. We want you guys to be able to listen to some podcasts. Our goal here is, look at that quote right there. You need to be leaving, not need to be. How about we're asking, can you leave Q and you're on your plane, you're on your car, and you got some time, why don't you listen to something? And let's listen to something. What will you listen to on the way home from Q? We could put up the screenshot that we just had back over there of a snapshot in time, but if you click on that link up there, that's a podcast directory. It's simply just a good old boring spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are boring, but they can do so much. It's open to anybody in the public can edit, so please be nice. And people have been dropping in podcasts. Hey, check this one out. Check this one out. Here's a podcast about this, that, or whatever. We're asking you to try to check. If you are going to be able to add to it, add education-based podcasts. But if you go there, you're going to see quite a few of them. You're going to find a name, like, hey, I want to go check out EdTech TV. Okay, you can see the name of the website. You don't need to click on it. All you need to be able to do is get that name. You're going to go back over to that podcatcher that you have, Pocket Cast or podcast, and then search for that particular name. And so we're going to give us about 5 minutes. I know a lot of you guys are in their back and we're spread out, but let's try to find a friend and let's talk about a podcast that you guys can download, and then we're going to open it up to the community and see some of the ones that you guys downloaded. Give about 3-4 minutes.
Sounds good to me.
All right, got 3-4 minutes. And Brian and I'll be walking around if you need some help.
So, where are hands of the people that were listening to podcasts already? All right, I'm going to come down.
There it is.
I'm coming down.
Here it is.
All right.
Dang it.
What's one podcast we should listen to? This is going to be our own directory that people can...
The Cult of Pedagogy.
Fabulous one. Cult of Pedagogy. Again,
Great one. Love that one. Cult of Pedagogy.
That's not all ed tech. Well, describe it.
Cult of Pedagogy is Jennifer Gonzalez. I think she's on the East Coast, and she does all sorts of things that are education related, and she gets really in depth with either interviews or research that's been going on, and talks about all sorts of different interesting topics.
And it's not all technology, which is great. How about anyone else as I walk around? And we're not going to say cereal. We'll get there in a minute. Be quiet up in front.
Here it is. You can refresh. I'm sorry. It's the third try now.
Nice.
Third link try.
All right, what podcast?
This was a long time ago, but I did Coffee Talk Spanish.
Coffee Talk Spanish, and do tell, what is Coffee Talk Spanish?
So you just could get it really simple in like 10 or 20 minute lesson and listen to the podcast every day and learn a new language.
And learn Spanish on your way. That's right.
All
right.
One. So now we can see here is EdSurge, moving the speed of creativity. The Tosa's Talking Tech. The only people who added a little graphic on there. They wanted to put a picture on there. Come check us out.
Do you want to explain your podcast to us?
It was made for our district because we needed a way to get PD out, and it's a little simple single-serving PD. We talk about things like SAMR, some OneDrive stuff because our district's Microsoft. What else?
We're not going to blame that against you.
Yeah, I know, it's not my decision.
A lot of tech help.
Tech help stuff.
Before you submit that help ticket,
Yeah.
try and avoid...
Quick steps through. I really enjoy. How many people are researching SAMR model for your district, or you're studying about it, or you're familiar with the SAMR? They did a great episode because they took each letter, like the S, and they spent about an hour on it. So each episode, there was one on S, there was on substitution, there was on augmentation. So they went through each of those. So it was a great thing to pick up on. All right. So anyone else want to share?
Show of hands. How many people have downloaded their first ever podcast today already? Nice job. Okay. We'll get just to about another 2 minutes here. Let's try to be able to get the number one thing. Find a podcast and download one. So, like we said, keep that in mind. Get yourself something that you can listen to. Brian, we're going to move forward now. We're going to talk about, let's start creating some things. So what are the types of podcasts that you can do in terms of, like, who's talking?
Who's talking? So we have the multi-host. So ours is a sample of a multi-host talking. So again, more than one person talking, and we take turns. And what was that number one rule with the multi-host?
Yes. If you're going to have a couple people talking on a regular basis, first off, you got to start working on. It's going to take time to get chemistry, and it takes time, doesn't it?
It does take time. It does take not too long, but we knew each other, so it helps.
And so work on developing chemistry. And the one rule that we have is if somebody stops talking,
the other one starts right up,
because that is the signal for you to
carry on the conversation. And
what we always would say is that as soon as somebody pauses, we like to do the yes and. Hey,
Yes.
that's really cool. And you know what else? Man, or hey, I ask a question about whatever you just said. Okay, so keep that idea that if you're going back and forth. What's nice about that for your listeners in terms of a multi-host is that some people appreciate sort of a banter approach, but there's others as well. So and you two guys down here, they do the same idea. Now Brent down here does a solo podcast.
So yeah, if you don't know, we keep on referring to Brent. He's EdTech TV right here in the front. That's his podcast. So I listened to you all last summer. I was catching up on yours. So it was pretty, yeah, it's good stuff. No. It was great trip. I was taking trips to Tahoe, so I'd listen to you. But he's a solo. He's on there, he's talking, and sometimes he brings on guests, but great topical subjects. I was right on, you were talking about creativity once. I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I was working on. And so it was some great insight. So
doing a solo podcast it's for me was a little intimidating. Like you can't stop. You gotta go. But it's such a weird feeling. The idea is when people come up to you, and again, there's only 5 of them, but when they say, oh my gosh, I was listening to your podcast while I was gardening or walking or doing something. And what's really neat about the podcasting is that it's of almost any other the Web 2.0 kind of the stuff. It's very intimate. You're in somebody's head. And we like doing it, but then sometimes when people say, like, I listen to you, like, oh, geez, you're using your free time to listen to me. That's a lot of responsibility. Oh, by the way, and once you start listening to podcasts, like, hey, I'm going to check out, these guys, whatever.com, don't go to episode 1. That's my number 1 recommendation.
Yeah.
Because they suck, right? Everybody sucks in the beginning. Sorry. We were just talking about, someone goes, yeah, I went back, listened to episode 1.
But don't let that stop you from starting.
Yes,
right?
Because it's gonna suck. So just expect
Just let
that.
you know.
Can you guys? Can I say suck on cue? I hope so. Well, they can bleep it out. But
We're good?
yeah. Move
All
on.
right. So even for example, for our very first one, when we started, I did the editing on it, and so I went through and I was deleting all the times we said So I went through and I edited all of those out. That took longer, twice as long as the actual episode. And yeah, so we were clipping them out going, oh man. But I can tell you, as we're practicing more and more on that, right now what we put up is raw. I don't touch it at all. All right, so if someone happens to say something a little bit colorful, I would probably go back and cut that out. But as you listen to it, and the more times we have done it, less and less of the Now, but think about that for your kids and public speaking when they're coming up in the class and getting
Fluency,
the fluency, the rehearsal, the practice. Also, listening to themselves, it helps also for them cutting out that nervous.
It's amazing. I mean, when you have your kids start doing audio projects, it's unbelievable the idea that they will mess up and they will do this. Oh, I gotta do it again. Oh, I messed up. I gotta do it again. My kids never. Hey, I taught AP World History. They never said, "Oh, I gotta write that essay again." No, they do not want to rewrite those thesis statements. Trust me. But they're sitting there. Oh, I messed up. I gotta do it again. And the idea about building fluency is such a great piece. But we're gonna get to that. And then the other one is the interview. And there's a lot of people who do that. Let's bring on people and interview them. Talk about all the great sort of things that are happening out there.
And it's crazy with the interview when you start. It's just reaching out to people. Hey, we do a podcast. Would you like to come on? And we shoot for the stars, and see who we can get. So, but we won't get responses back. But hey, you'll never know until you try. All right. So we haven't tried on Brent Warner yet, but we're going to try to ask him to come on. But we've reached some big names out there because I keep on going. Wow, these are big names. I don't think they're going to come on. Well, what do I have to lose? So now we're trying to get a time slot with Sylvia Duckworth. Said that she would come on and talk about sketchnoting. I'm like, are you serious? Sylvia Duckworth. So, yeah, so we're excited.
Anyway.
So again,
so
the
as you
interview,
start
just
thinking
reach
about
out.
whatever kind of show or whatever you're doing, if you're going to do one, the idea that what is the format? And that format can change because ours changed a little bit, from what we originally intended. Let's get into the equipment. What do you need? You need to go out and buy this stuff.
All of this.
All of this. No.
That computer, the light, the French.
No, much like those circles, don't make it about that. Make it about what you're trying to do. You do not need the equipment. It is now so simple that it's the thing that you got in your pocket, okay? You simply just record. You talk and record. That's all it is at the most simple. But Briggs, if you do recommend something, what would you recommend?
There's a couple, but I'm just going to share with one right now. It's this microphone right here. I got it for the coolness factor because it did look pretty cool when I first got it. But it was the Blue Microphone Yeti. Great microphone. I can set it up and good audio quality on there. I don't have to do special sound. This was my splurge. As you can see, this was last year, and it was just around $100. So just for the microphone, and that's all we spend.
Probably the best company out there is this company called Blue. So here's, like, I have a Blue one here. I do the Blue Snowball, which is a little bit drop down in cost. But you can do, and Brian's going to show you this one here called the iRig, which really makes things portable.
The best, this is when we do live on assignment, you should get some great things. The best thing about this microphone, let me swing it up. This part here is a lightning cable. So I can plug it into my iPhone. I can plug it into our iPad. So it goes right in, and it's very good quality. So,
did I show you this microphone that I got? It's my favorite microphone of all. And if you want to have your kids start doing microphones, think about getting these ones. Here's my microphone. Okay, this microphone I bought at the thrift store, and I just cut the cables off. It's a fake microphone. So the kids, oftentimes, you could just use the mic that's on the phone, but they want to be able to have something. They can design their own, too. You can make your little pencils and pens and all that kind of thing.
So, you broke your fake microphone.
Broke the fake mic. I'll just screw it back on.
Yes. So that the iRig, I'm really liking that one. So
I do with the red wire.
The red wire, cross it. All right. So really, the other things that we need, like you said, those are the equipment that we use to record.
That's the hardware.
The hardware. So here are some of the recording tools that are on the computer that you can use. What we've been using lately is that top one is Blab. Are there any other people that use Blab in here? Woo! I think it's still in beta, but Blab is great, and I'll tell you why. We used to use Google Hangout and do the Google Hangout on air and get the audio from it later. It took a lot of steps. Blab picked up on that and eliminated a step to make it easier. But the best thing about Blab is when you're done, I'll get an email, like about 10 minutes when I'm done, I'll get an email saying, your Blab is ready. Would you like to download the audio or would you like to download the video? So it eliminates that step of me going through and extracting the audio from the video. It just sends me that audio file.
Sorry, I'm trying to bring up Blab.
We did that because Diane Main walked in. That's right. Actually, we would have had Queen music. No. So the Blab, it'll give me that audio, and then I upload it where I house it, and then it publishes it live. So I really like Blab. And how much does Blab cost? You need a subscription to Twitter. That's all it costs. It takes your Twitter ID. And the cool thing about Blab is when we have our Blab, people can pop in. And they can ask us questions on the chat window and say, hey, you want to come on air and share that with us? And we just allow them in. We open up a chair, and they sit down. And so then they're on the video. They can do audio if they want, but they can come in and discuss and chat with us so we can have an impromptu interview.
This. Happy Friday, everybody.
So this is a replay. I was trying to find a live one that we could see. This is a recorded one, though, right now. And like Brian said, there are 4 windows, the Brady Bunch kind of style. These are in the top left-hand corner will be the host of the particular show. Yes.
Always, Katie Blevin.
One more time?
No. Is it like chat roulette?
No, it's more like Periscope. So it's more similar to that. The other thing I really like that's cool if you want to talk about the Sammer model is usually when you do your chat, right up on the top right here when it's live, you have a picture of the globe and a light will come on of who's watching.
As a way to
so then you can see that you're becoming global because when we did an episode once for the Q Rockstar draft, that we saw some in Indonesia and we saw some in Australia that were listening and on. So we got. So
you have a difference. The people in here are the ones that you choose to be in your 4-box window. You could do 1, you could do 4. You choose who's in there. So the moderator sets it up, and people, he or she chooses who's in there. There's a button that says call in. Anybody can try to get in, but the moderator either accepts them or doesn't. So you can be able to have kind of like a Google Hangout thing. Anybody can come in and watch the show. And this is the reason that we don't recommend, and you probably saw some maybe like borderline inappropriate words as I brought it first up. This is a forum that anybody can get into and say what they want, so I would not recommend this for students.
Not for students.
No, but the chat windows over here that goes, so what we have used is, we're talking, sometimes we're just going to say, let's just make it about the 2 of us today, but we can talk to the chat room onto the side. And that's free and nice, and what they give you back in return, they give you a link, and then you can send that link out to wherever.
Yeah, and if you do choose to use Blab, like I said, it's great to go in and practice a few times, because I'm not going to lie, you are going to get some people coming on, as we call them, trollers. They're going to come on and try to egg you on. And so you just have to learn to ignore them, and on here, you can go up and boot them. And then you just hit block, and they can't come back in. So again, that's why it's for students, it might be questionable to have on the site because you'll get some colorful language on the side.
So I used to get alerted when you were online, and then it stopped.
It also depends on us too. It also depends on we can send it out to all of our followers or not.
Yeah, so when I go on to start an episode, it says, would you like to notify your followers? And I'll say sure. And then if you're following us on Blab or on Twitter, it will blast out so you can see when we're live. So you can come on and join us if you're interested in seeing it. So that's like, we have a friend, Corey Kolb, who I think he lives and just waits to see us come on and go, what's wrong? Boom. Just kidding. But he comes on a lot. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to jump down and show you. I'm going to go down to here. There's one called Audacity. A similar one's called a GarageBand. Audacity is available on both. And when you look at it, you're not going to get overwhelmed. You're going to look at this and go, that looks boring. Okay. So now what we're here is like what just a traditional sort of audio recorder looks like. But although there's tons of bells and whistles over here, you can see if I click on this. Testing 1 2 3. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you see the wavelines? So what Brian mentioned before is you can do some simple editing, right? You can simply go like this, click on a part of it, and hit delete, and now it's gone. Yes?
Really quick, I'm going to share one more app before I leave. The one that I do with students that are really easy, if you have iOS apps, it's a website. It's one called AudioBoom. Anyone familiar with AudioBoom? Nice. It's what? I know it used to be Boo. I kind of liked it when it was Boo, just for the name, right? AudioBoom it's free to join. On your podcast, you can have up to 10 minutes for free. Anything over the 10-minute of one audio solo recording, that's where you'll have to pay for a subscription. But this is great for my students that want us to report what's new because they can get on really quick. We can make a podcast for 9 minutes and 55 seconds and have 1 million of them, and it's still free. So it doesn't matter as long as the one solo podcast is under 10 minutes. Why also I like it, it's on my iOS device. It's simple, you just hit a red button, and then you do your recording. You hit publish, give it a name, and whoop, it puts it right up and pushes it out. So it's very simple and user-friendly.
Yeah, this is the thing, because the key piece in trying to get all this together, and this isn't really like a workshop to show the whole inner workings, but in order to get that piece of the subscription where people will automatically show up, is it needs to get to iTunes, and AudioBoom does that. And Brian's got to sneak out. He's got to head over there. Hey, so I want to jump back over here to Audacity and show you what some simple video editing. Coach Ben, can I borrow you up here, sir? So here's the idea. Now, we talk about podcasts, and we're just talking about like teachers talking about teacher stuff, kid stuff here. So let's talk about it. Like it could be anything. So we're going to do like an audio book real fast. So hi, Ben. How are you? Good. How you doing? So what I'm going to do here, watch this, is we're going to have Ben record a little bit. We're going to do like a social studies lesson on Pioneer Trails. So so I'm going to have you read that first paragraph. You see that? Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record, but don't start talking yet because you don't see it. And what we're going to probably edit some of this. And
during the 1800s, immigrants packed wagons to move west. Some went to create new lives on good farmland. Others hoped to make money by finding gold or selling goods.
And stop. Perfect. Let's clap it up for Coach Ben. Nice job. So what's interesting is you can see the audio, can't you?
During the 1800s, immigrants
Easy. So I know where do we need to start? Right there. Highlight. Magic button is delete. Watch this. I know I'm going to delete this. I can just visually see it. Bang. Done. I'm going to mute. I'm going to join in on this one. Ready? Check this out. Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Pioneer Trails.
But it's afterwards. What are we going to do? Look at these. He's got these crazy tools. I'm going to take this one, move that one there, take this one. This is with one hand because I'm holding the microphone. I can snap it. I got it. I don't care about the snappy because watch this I'm going to do. Check this out. Whoa. I got some music here. I found this great copyright song. A long time ago. I can't remember. Someplace. You want to hear what it sounds like? This is what it sounds like. Beautiful. Now watch this. I'm going to take that, MP3, drop that bad boy down in here. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Nice job. Now look at that. That's the entire song. I don't need all of that. So can you hold? Got 2 hands.
All right. So as Ryan's rule of not talking, that's what I'm practicing right now, and I'm not doing a very good job, but Ryan is driving his computer.
Nice. Okay, so you can see here. Thanks a lot. So now I got these 3 pieces, so I'm just going to nudge them off. Oh, hold on. First one, this top one, I'm going to unmute that one. And so what goes first, everybody? Me, then Ben. I'm sorry, me, then the music, then Ben. But when should the music stop? Watch this. Let's play this from the beginning. You tell me, where do you think a good transition for a bumper would be? Ready? So I don't need all the rest, but I'm going to keep some of it, right? Just keep some, just like when you're doing whatever Taylor.
Can I tell you this is a dream of mine, just holding a microphone for you, buddy? Love it.
We need some Coors Light to be able to make this go better.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, you ready? So check this out. Now, here's the thing. Remember that movie Ghostbusters? Right? How did they defeat the thing at the end? Cross the streams. And you think, oh, there's these yellow things. You're not supposed to cross the streams. I'm telling you, cross the streams, cross the streams, cross the streams. So I'm just going to nudge you a little bit. I'm going to nudge a little bit more, like that. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can see here. Where's my zoom feature? Bing, bing. There we go. So now I can see more. I'm going to nudge a little bit. And for the sake of time, watch this. You can do some other tools. Like watch here. I'm going to highlight the end. And what can I do to the end?
What? Tell me.
Go to Effect, and dear God, look at all this stuff. Reverb. We can turn Coach Ben into a leprechaun.
Do it.
Let's do that first. Sorry, we'll go back over here. Coach Ben, here we go. Highlight him. Go to Effect. Go to Change Pitch. It's like spices. A little goes a long way. So I don't even know what that any stuff means. A G flat to you're deep, I guess. I'm just going to move that up a little bit. Bang. We'll see what that sounds like. Go back over to here. I know I'm moving fast. I'm going to highlight the end. I'm going to go to Effect. What, everybody? Fade out. Let's go back to the beginning and check out this episode of Pioneer Trails.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Pioneer Trails.
During the 1800s, immigrants packed wagons to move west. Some went to create new lives on good farmland. Others hoped to make money by finding gold or...
Now here's the thing. It's an MP3. Let's clap it up for Ben, everybody. You can stay here. Just stay here. But what do you do with this? You can do whatever you want with the thing. It's an MP3. So think about the idea about you can now be able to put that down as an MP3, drop that into iMovie, drop that into whatever you want. How about this? Make yourselves, check this out. You got the words here. You got the words, right? Why not drop a picture about each one of those and, right, here's a bunch of different images from Westward Expansion. You put the words right on the bottom, on the top of that. Now the kids are narrating and creating their own books. Okay? I know I got off the rails. Just like that. Is that even on? Is that on?
I don't know, is it?
It sounds like it, yeah.
It sounds like it's on.
So that's a really fun project. Great when you can do, and you don't even necessarily need to do that in Audacity, but the whole idea about kids editing their audio, really empowering. I got off the rails a bit.
You know, the one thing I will say, Ryan, this is all awesome, and you are amazing. I would definitely need to practice this. If you have an iPad, if you have an iPhone, you have a camera on there, right? That's how you can start. It doesn't have to be fancy. I started mine, which is very low budget, with an iPad. That's it. It's not the best, but it's putting it out there.
And what do you use?
You
just use the normal camera feature, huh?
I just used the camera on my iPad, and I propped it up somewhere, and I sat down with some awesome people, and I asked them some awesome questions, and I got a lot. Mostly my podcast. You know who's my podcast is for?
Who?
It's for me.
Nice.
Because that's how I learned.
Nice. Here's an app called Spreaker. I love Spreaker. Here's some screenshots of it. You can put this on any device. Look at the record button. Guess what you do? You record. Okay? What's nice here is you had everything. You even got stinking, look at this. That's sound effects. So we can do our own one here. Ready? So we're just going to test this thing out. Ready? I'm going to hit effects, hit record. It says, what do you want to record? Live or offline? We're going to go offline. Welcome, everybody, to the Check This Out podcast. You're talking with Ryan O'Donnell, and who else?
And I'm Coach Ben.
And we're talking about all things cool at the Q Conference. Ben, what's your favorite thing you found at the Q Conference so far?
Oh, man, there has been so many favorite things. The best thing about the Q Conference is the people that are out in front of us right now.
It's all about the people. And now let's transition into segment 2.
Ryan, what was your favorite thing? I ruined it.
All right, so what Ben didn't realize is there's built-in sound effects in here. So now, let's check this out. Check this out. Welcome, talking with Ryan O'Donnell and who else?
And I'm Coach Ben.
And we're talking about all things cool at the Q conference. Ben, what's your favorite thing you found at the Q conference so far?
Oh,
then I'm
man,
dropping
there's been
another
so
piece
many
of
favorite
music
things.
here in a
The best
second.
thing about the Q conference is the people that are out in front of us right now.
It's all about the people. And now let's transition into segment 2. How cool and easy is that, huh?
That's
Just
pretty easy.
That's slick right from in there. And look at this. Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Then there's a share button. Pause, done, boom. Next thing I want to do, put that thing and you can share it, bang, 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 and now it's all there. And they limit you, I think it's, anybody know offhand, 15 minutes, something like that. This is a phenomenal app for your kids. It's all built in there. And then you just need to start thinking about what are the things that you want to can't talk. You want them to do. So here's some ideas, right? How about change up that weekly classroom newsletter? Every single week, have the kids talk about what's going on. Have you do interview students. Have the kids interview other students, right? Staff or program spotlight. We're talking about the ceramics teacher. We're talking about the whatever. Professional development for teachers. Book reviews, audiobooks, all that kind of stuff. The last thing, if you want to be able to check out here, is this a document? That's what Brian and I use. I don't know if the other guys really use sort of scripts. We don't really want to have things scripted, but you want to have like a bulleted list of the things that you're going to talk about. And same stress with your kids. You are either in these audio projects, work on fluency, having them read what is written, or having them have natural conversations and dialogues. And so I think we're done. I want to be able to respect everybody's time, and it's 2:25. Roundtable discussion. So the last 5 minutes, I just had a couple questions. And Ben, can you help work the room a little bit? If anybody wants to jump in here,
Totally.
Tell me, who are you and what do you think? But what do you think? How can podcasts lead to professional development? Or what are some of the challenges about getting people like this room, getting people into listening or using podcasts? You guys were a fantastic group. Love to continue the conversations going on. Thanks a lot for coming out. We'll see everybody.